In total, Uganda is celebrating 3 days in a year to remember how Museveni launched, fought, and captured power. The day he launched, we celebrated. The day someone was killed, we celebrated. The day power was captured, so we are celebrating 3 days. The liberation, the Tarehe Sita, and now the Heroes Day, about the same thing. So these useless public holidays are damn expensive for the country. In the budget this year alone, 5 billion was provided that in addition to giving medals, they also need now to be given. Yet in the same budget, Museveni did not provide for 7 billion, which is the last installment in development of a curriculum for A-level students. So the Uganda Curriculum Development Center to develop a curriculum for senior 5 students, about 1 million of them. But the country has money to organize an event. And on average, these events are costing us between 3, sometimes to 7 billion on average. Sometimes it's even more. There was a time we spent 11 billion on a youth day. And that's just that's the cost of the event. I will share with you the guidelines as issued by the government, the things that they must spend on: tents, food, transport, allowance. So there is a cost to staging these events, but there is also a bigger cost to the country, because URA, for example, Uganda Revenue Authority, whose offices are closed, on average collect 72 billion shilling per day, URA. So when you shut, you can count the number of public holidays we have had in a week. And then I will tell you we had a shortfall. They can have a shortfall, but what about people who are struggling with businesses? That your cargo arrived, but it cannot be processed because Museveni is in Iriantonde with Anita Amongo and Nabanja. They are celebrating Heroes Day. And that is the reason your cargo cannot be processed. And you're a businessman to make money to take your children to school, but you can't proceed. So we need to rethink these days. They must be meaningful, not to the leaders, but to the country. And one way, because even if Museveni wants to celebrate every day, consolidate these days into one. Heroes Day, Liberation, they are about the same thing. But you disaggregate them to keep the country moving from Chotera to Mubende to now Liantonde. And all the government people are going there. They consume fuel. Every year we are spending 960 billion shilling on internal travel. 960 billion on internal travel. They have now filled their tanks. They have gone to Liantonde. 960 billion. So we need to rethink. For these days we will close them once Museveni is out of power. We will continue celebrating Heroes Day, Liberation, something. You can see a real partying mood, parties in Museveni's state house. After moving around celebrating these unnecessary days, they are also in weddings. At 80, Museveni putting on a suit, and the wife at 75 putting on a gown that they missed a wedding when they were young. And to them, that's very important. We missed a wedding when we were young, and now there must be a wedding. And all government people with the red number plates in Ntungamo spending public resources that they have gone to attend Mr. Museveni's wedding at 8. The children are also celebrating birthdays. So there is a real partying mood in the State House under Museveni and his wife, something that they have discovered in old age, that we missed life, so we now must begin enjoying ourselves. So the whole country continues to wallow in poverty. The head of state thinks about partying. So that's why these days are thrown around for them to move around as if they are tourists. Finally, our leader, Dr. Besigye, Today, he spends his 200 night together with Ajobed Kamurege in Ruzira. Most of the people that these Museveni committees are picking for heroes are actually counterfeit. These are counterfeit heroes that they are going to present. One such a true and real hero is Dr. Besigye. Dr. Besigye had a flourishing career, a medical person, flourishing career at Nairobi Hospital, which he abandoned to go to Luweero, to go and... We are not celebrating just his going to Luweero, but we are celebrating because Dr. Besigye has lived the ideals for which they went to Luweero. Which is the reason that Tibuhaburwa, presiding over functions miles away in Lyantonde, has kept him in prison. I don't know of anyone in the world who has been imprisoned the number of times as Dr. Kizza Besigye. He abandoned his flourishing career as a young medical doctor in Nairobi. He joins Museveni in Luweero. He begins tweeting them. That Museveni nearly died in Luweero. He was being tweeted by both Dr. Besigye and Dr. Bata. He nearly died there. Now he's in Ruzira. At 69, Dr. Besigye is still struggling for Uganda. At 69. While we may not have his courage, the courage of Dr. Besigye, we draw inspiration from his resilience. Even when you meet him in prison, I was in Ruzira last week and other colleagues, he receives you with a smile as if he's not in prison. In Ruzira, where Dr. Besigye is, he has his own prison where colonialists used to keep hardcore criminals. Because we arrived in the Maxon when Dr. Besigye, when the rest of the inmates in the maximum security were playing football. But Dr. Besigye was locked up deep inside Ruzira, so there is a prison within a prison. So that's where they walked him from to come and meet us. And after our meeting, they walked him back together with Ajobed Rutare. So Besigye is not just a prison within a prison. And I think that's what gives Museveni satisfaction. That now Besigye, who has been harassing me for more than 20 years, now is in a prison within a prison. So the crime is to constantly keep reminding Museveni that you went to the world to fight for democracy, rule of law, freedom, and you diverted from these ideals. So our fight has not ended. That's the only crime he has committed. We salute you, Dr. Kizza Besigye. We will continue drawing inspiration from you. Now think about the thousands who died in Luweero, because we are 500,000 people died in Luweero. Why did they die? Fighting to ensure that Uganda is a free country, to ensure Uganda is democratic, and Uganda is a country that abides by rule of law. That's why people went to Museveni and his group go to Lyantonde to feast. The very reason for which they waged the war is exactly what is taking place in Uganda. People on orders of Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, and as I said last week, he celebrates their pain that I have kept them in basements, I am beating them, learning how to box. And then you all have seen them limping. So the torture, the disappearance, the kidnapping of citizens, issues that attracted hundreds to go and join Museveni in Luweero to fight, are taking place today as Museveni and his group drive to Luweero to remind us that there are people who died in Ruwero. We are not just remembering people who died, because even here people are dying. So death is not something that we are going to keep remembering. The country should be remembering reasons for which people died and guarding not to repeat the crimes that were being committed by the state. The Museveni regime is a criminal regime. A regime that abducts and tortures them before they are presented before courts of law. This is a criminal regime. Otherwise, which sentence is Dr. Besigye? Which court sentenced Besigye for him to stay in prison for more than 6 months? So which sentence is he serving? But because Museveni and his son says, you Besigye, you will stay in jail, but even in jail, they must put you in a prison within a prison. On Thursday, June 5th, the People's Front for Freedom was born, formally born. The Electoral Commission finally issued us with a certificate of registration after a solid 11-month struggle that began in August 2024 with reservation of name, symbol, and slogan. Naturally, we are thankful to the Electoral Commission for finally issuing us a certificate. We decry the unnecessary delay and interference in the registration process by overzealous security operatives, resident district commissioners, and other NRM proxies. There was of signatures by mainly security, RDCs, NRM, in some areas, parish chiefs. Registration of political parties under the Political Parties and Organizations Act should not be made this rigorous, forcing some people to procure political parties. Procure political parties, I want to repeat that. But this exercise shouldn't be made rigorous. Ugandans to procure small existing parties. Because this practice in itself is a danger to the country. That people who meet all the qualifications to register political parties are being forced to procure existing parties, really. The delay also speaks the incompetence of public institutions. People who register companies and businesses are made to go through these unnecessary delays, and each time you lose, you are losing money. We therefore require the Electoral Commission and other agencies to improve these processes, to make them as civil as the law demands, make sure we don't create reasons for people to skirt around the law. Now that we are registered, we would like to advise our members to abide first by our own constitution. Remember, when we are registering a political party, one of the requirements is that the certificate, the application for registration must be accompanied by a constitution, but also by signatures. So we have registered the constitution. These copies will be made available for everybody. We don't want to register a constitution and operate outside it. Especially during this restive electoral period. If you are not yet selected as a candidate, don't declare yourself a PFF candidate. There will be a transparent process to arrive at party candidates. Don't move ahead of the party. If the party delays, make it move faster. It will be suicidal for you to move ahead of the party, and then the party is calling you back. The cost that is involved, I have seen many of us, if you put up posters for purposes of communicating to your electoral area, and another person emerges, it means the constitution will be the arbiter. So you don't say, but I was the first to put up posters. behave differently. As our constitution stipulates, and you're going to make copies available, your respective leadership in the areas where you are will be the ones to determine candidates. So candidates will not be determined at the headquarters here, but in your respective areas. So don't find the Ssemujju and you say, I need a card. No, ours are not issued like that. They will be processed through a transparent system in your respective areas. The Electoral Commission, the Honorable Mike Kabaziguruka is here. He has already issued expression of interest forms, which will be followed where we have more than one candidate, with elections inevitable. And those elections are domestic elections where you are. They are not elections here at the headquarters. So these forms, the Honorable Mike Kabaziguruka I will invite him to speak about them, are going to be made available at district and constituency levels. He will also be issuing them both physically and electronically, and will use both methods to correct them, and the guidelines will follow shortly. We are delayed by the Electoral Commission. We should have had guidelines and dates of these elections. Please also be notified that the PFF, the People's Front for, will next month on Tuesday, July 8th, be formally inaugurated. This exercise will be funded solely by you, the members. The money and items required were brought by you, Matoke. So I put you on notes that you need to begin preparing. You need to begin making contributions to launch your party of leaders. It is your party. The leaders are here just to provide leadership. So as I said, the Honorable Mike Kabaziguruka will be speaking more about this. But because of the interim nature under which we are operating, our respective leadership, district, constituency, to handle the ongoing nomination of special interest groups. They will be the ones processing you under their signature and stamps. We will subsequently improve, because these conditions have been forced on us by the delay by the Electoral Commission, and are still participating in the special interest groups elections whose nominations close tomorrow. Those of you who haven't, please utilize the remaining hours to make sure you present candidates. As I said, we will go on improving.
Uganda, abantu ba Buganda wano bajjumbira nnyo era bakyagala nnyo DP. Era nti mu Buganda gwe mutima gwa DP mu byobufuzi, ate era si mu Buganda mokka naye ne mu Uganda. N'ekyo seewuunya nnyo ebyo ebibadde bigenda mu maaso ku mitimbagano, kubanga ekyamazima bwe twali embalala twalinamu bakandidesi babiri abaali ab'amaanyi ddala mu nsonga ezimu oba endala abatayitamu kwesimbawo, ate n'omulala yeesimbawo naye n'atayitamu. N'ekyo twava eyo ng'abantu abamu emitima gibeewanise, nga balina obusungu bungi, ate era nga twetemyetemyemu. N'ekyo bye bibadde birabika olwaleero mu social media, bibadde birabika ne ku TikTok. Olwaleero nabikuliddeyo akantu akajinge nti kagimu n'abalala bagenda kufuna obwa minisita, n'olwekyo bagenda kukola paati festino okwekulisa n'okuyozaayoza. Naye nze kye ŋŋamba olwaleero kye twetaaga kwe kuteekawo olukuŋŋaana tutabamiruka olwa Buganda, nga ffenna tusobola okutuula wamu, ne bwe tuba tuggyayo obusungu bwaffe ne tubugyayo nga tuli mu nju, ate ne tuvaayo n'ebyo bye tulowooza nti bigenda kutuyamba okusobola okuwangula kalulu kano, kubanga kalulu kano kalinaffe olwaleero. N'ekyo tetukyalina kiseera kya kwonoona nga tugenda mu kino oba mu kino. N'ekyo njagala okukubiriza abo bonna naddala abakulembeze baffe abaali mu kalulu ako nga honorable Dr. Lulume Bayiga ate ne honorable engineer Richard Sebamala n'abalala bonna tuule kati mu nju tube nga tunoonya amakubo agenda okutuyamba okusobola okuwaŋŋanga akalulu kano akajja. Manyi bulungi nti focus yonna mu Uganda eri ku Buganda. Ebibiina byonna kakati biri mu lutabaalo okunoonya abo be bajja mu Buganda. Naye ffe ng'aba Buganda ddala ba DP nkakasa bulungi tusobola okuvaayo n'ensonga zaffe ezitunyiga ne tuzireeta formally ne tuva mu zino ez'okuyombera wano na wano. N'ekirala kyensabye nti ekibiina kyaffe ekya DP kyetaaga okuzza focus essira ku Buganda mu ngeri yonna okulaba nti ate tetufiirwa Buganda tetusigala nga tuli bawanguzi mu Buganda. Ne bagamba mu mwaka gwa 2021 DP yateekawo abakulembeze abeesimbawo ku bifo eby'enjawulo abakulembeze 1,955. Ku abo abakulembeze abaava mu Buganda baali 1,341, 70%. N'olwekyo tulina okulaba nti nno essira tuliteeka wano. Era nensaba Pulezidenti ne DP kino kye kiseera okwongera okuteeka amaanyi mu Buganda naddala nga tulaba abakandideeti abagenda okwesimbawo mangu.